I'm so excited. I think I gathered all the YouTubers that perform car reviews that appreciate the sound of the Porsche 718. The GTS comes with, let's say, a well-defined value-added package. One of them being the badges behind in black. Satin black wheels looks great with the God red body coat. And I think that we have a perfect example on how great it is when the brake calipers is the same color as the body color. Sport exhaust in black and also this black diffuser, and I think it is a sport design package, but oh, I really love it. It is kind of framing the power and the beautiful sounds that the 718 creates. And there is also a sport design package in the front, and I really love these black elements that you have with that. Also, the car is lowered by, I think it is 1 centimeter, but you can actually option out so it will get even further. I think it is a total of 20 millimeter lower. You're
like a circle that floats around me, keeping me safe and sound. And when I fall, you've tied a rope to me. You're blessing me every day. I was down with an illusion, like a sparrow with broken wings, but now I shine with your reflection on me. I'm getting back up on my feet. That you showed up was written in my palm. You are a statement explode like a bomb. I get to push myself to victory. You make me winner.
But there are a few of the models that are giving you, that little extra. And for sure, the 718 Boxster GTS is one of them. Because, follow me, pull the gearbox, pull the gear down a few, and get that beautiful sound of the 4-cylinder 2.5 engine. And then you just give the throttle, bang! And then heavy brake, and turn into the corner. And you can shift in the corner because the car is much more stable than the other model. And you can kind of shift down before the crests. And here again, heavy braking, shift down into right corner. Oh, that sounds, that's why you should go for a Boxster, because then you will get the beautiful 718 sound directly into your ears. Wow! I mean, this for sure is something that is not expected. The bar was raised when I entering the 718 GTS. Since my experience with the base model, the Cayman 718, was such a surprise. It was a proper mid-engine sports car. And now when I enter in the GTS, the bar was at such level that I actually thought that I would be disappointed. But again, the 718 rollouts the red carpet, showing us the way how a sport car of the 2018 should be. Within the Porsche family or petrol heads, I guess we have a problem. Unless it doesn't say GT3 or GT4 or any GT, we kind of get suspicious. The performance of the 718 Boxster GTS has the same performance as the 997 Mark II around the Nordschleife. I think actually Walter Röhrl drove the Mark II 997 GT3 on the same lap time as the GTS. 740, that's a quick time around the Nordschleife. But why are we then facing comparison between the 718 Boxster and Cayman compared to the 911? Because the 911 Patriot defend the heritage of the 911 to such extent that it looks down on all the other Porsche models, regardless if it is a Panamera Macan or this beautiful 718. Shame on us, and we need to turn this culture around, embracing the Porsche brand and all it stands for. It's time to take all our truth histories and throw them in the back. Looking back in the mirror will not help us. This is a proper sports car, a mid-engine sports car. And I believe that if you look at, for example, at Ferraris, they don't argue on which sports car is the best depending on where the engine is mounted. No, they look at the hood, where the brand is placed. I think we have to be careful when we call the Boxster and Cayman entrance model. For me at least, the entrance model are nothing else but the Macan. The 718 series are, or should I say, has become a breed of its own, mid-engine sports car from Porsche. Impressive, that's the only word I can come up with at this point. If I should miss out on something, that would be the manual gearbox. Yes, you heard me right. You know I'm a fan of the PDK. I drove the 718 Boxster on the Gelleråsen track and I loved it. Absolutely, you are much faster with the PDK. But this beautiful engine that I have behind me, I think suits the manual gearbox very good. And you're never going to be the fastest man, woman on the track with a Boxster or Cayman unless you hand it over to a tuning company. No, I think I prefer the manual. Not sure, I'm not judging, but I think the manual would suit me better and my driving style. But before we rush into driving the manual Boxster GTS, there are a few things that we need to sort it out between the PDK and the manual GTS. The manual GTS has 10 Nm of torque less compared to the PDK. What they have done is they have flattened out the torque curve, making the torque available up to 5,500 revs. That is actually 500 more revs compared to the PDK gearbox. So the two cars that again looks pretty much the same are having a total different engine character. Heavy braking, turning into the corner. Ooh, this is spectacular. And the gear shifts are so good. Heavy braking into right corner. Oh, the manual gearbox is much more engaging that you will have in the PDK. The engine character are much more distinct. It gives you much more trust when you're driving the car. It is you know and you feel much more what's happening and what's not happening, and the balance, you feel the balance in the car. It's no question about it. The torque curve gives you the ability to stabilize the car on a longer term. Let me try to explain. When you go out of a corner with the PDK gearbox, the torque ends. That's how it feels anyway. It kind of drops down, but in this car you can use, you don't have to give the full throttle, but you can give let's say 20-30% of the throttle and having the same amount of torque, making the car much more stable in the corner. That's something that I cannot experience when I'm driving the PDK gearbox. I mean, that's just how it is. Right or wrong, or if the data point in another direction, I couldn't care less, because that's my feeling when I drive the cars. You have absolutely more touch and feel of what's happening when you are driving the manual gearbox. I'm not sure what is the difference between this car otherwise than the torque curve and the fact that you could balance the car like this, heavy braking, and then turn in, shifts up. Perfect. This is oh, I would like 718 GTS. That's the ugly truth of this story. The impression that all 718 are creating is something that I want one. And adding up the 65 horsepower from the base model to the GTS, that's beautiful.
Buyer's recommendation I usually not give, but the manual gearbox is an exception. One problem that I have is the Pirelli tires. When performing heavy braking, the tires are struggling to find grip, where the Michelin's always miraculously finds it. I drove the 718 Boxster at Gelleråsen racetrack and could not complain about anything, except for the lack of power, an issue fixed in the GTS model.
One design option that is actually underestimated is the black rear wing. I think that is an option that you should look into it, because it dramatically transforms the beautiful shapes of the Boxster and making it more, how should I put it, more valved. The feeling that you get with this spoiler is that the hips are wider and higher, that it goes more like this if you have just added the black element on the rear spoiler. I'm gonna be a bit bold in terms of design, but you see this distinct line in the front fenders that you actually can see while you're driving is what distinguished the Boxster and Cayman 718. This line is the biggest transformation, according to me, when the Boxster turned extremely beautiful, especially in the front. This line here, I would actually stretch myself saying that this line here creates more heritage to the Porsche history than the actual 911. Driving position, as always, are really great in any Porsche from the family. The good thing is that regardless which Porsche you jump into, you will find a proper driver's man, driver's woman position. This car is also equipped with a leather steering wheel. Thank you. Remember what I have told in the 911 convertible video, that if you're running or driving a convertible, you're letting the nature in, and the wear of the material inside the car is much higher. Anyway, great leather sports wheel. Then, for some reason, Porsche has always been keen on the aluminium polished or brushed. I would actually option out these elements in the interior. I think they distract the beautiful lines that the Boxster and Cayman have. I would like to rebrand the GTS model to a great track day and sports car. That's the definition of GTS. Again, I feel blessed. I have been able to try out not only one GTS but two of them. One with the manual gearbox and one with the PDK. In this case, the choices are quite simple for me. I would choose the manual car. The reason for that is that the engine is much more engaging with the manual gearbox with a different torque curve. You can actually sense it. And in terms of track times, the 7 minutes 40 seconds that the PDK has on Nordschleife, that is compared to the 997 GT3, that's not the most attractive point for me. I want to have the best experience, and that's what I get in the manual gearbox. Also, if I was to choose now, let's say I was looking at the base 911 Carrera compared to the Boxster GTS, I will not buy the 911. That's one thing that I'm certain about. A 911 with rear wheel steering, then they're up for a challenge.